So on today's episode of Craigslist Gold Estates, we're loading the pickup truck up. Got a bunch of railroad ties. Some of them were decayed enough I could get the whole tie in there on its own, but the rest of them I'm having to cut up. The issue is that the water, I'm kind of in a valley on this road, so the water comes down here. You probably can't see it on camera so much, but it's sloping downhill toward me. The water all comes down here, and there's a drain right down in there. It's kind of obscured right now because that was where my trash pile was for a long time, or not a long time, a few months. But I'm realizing now that I've got all this filled in, what happens is all the water collects right there when it rains, and then it seeps into the ground right here. As you can see, it just kind of like the water seeps into the ground and flows this way. It's actually eating out a little trench over there. All right, so as long as we're on the subject of the drainage improvements that I was trying to make over here, I thought I would give some of the impetus for that. So this picture was taken about 2 weeks before the rest of this video, and it was taken right after all this dirt was filled in here in my backyard. And actually this was like just a couple days after all that dirt was put in there, and the dirt was still very loose and muddy. And then we got a bunch of rain. As you can see, the rain collects right on this corner of the driveway because the pile was in front of the drain. That's what I was trying to fix. And so I looked out my window 9:30 on a Friday night, and there was a white Ford Edge that you can see right here being piloted by this nice young lady and her accompaniment of a not so young nice gentleman. They were up to like the hubs of the front wheels down in the bog of the property, and they were desperately trying to get themselves unstuck, and it wasn't working. This is a front-wheel drive only Ford Edge. So I walked outside, and the lady was immediately like, "Oh, thank God, please just push us out." And I was like, yeah, if I just try to push on the front of your Ford Edge, which was, I mean, it was that the front of this car was way down in the mud. I was like, yeah, lady, if I just push on the front of your Ford Edge with this truck, it's going to destroy the car. And she was like, I don't care. I got to get out of here, man. And I was like, all right, well, I don't want to completely destroy your car. So what I did was I had a rope, a very thick rope that I've used to drag cars in the past. But what I did was I wrapped that rope around one of the lower control arms of one of the rear wheels of the Ford Edge, and I was able to yank them out with the F-150. Took all 4 of its paws scratching and all 302 of its cubic inches, but it did get them. And so yeah, actually in this video, if you see a couple what look like really deep tire holes right about this part of the property, that was from this incident. So yeah, part of the impetus for this whole drainage project is making sure, yeah, what they were trying to do was they had pulled onto here to try and turn around, and they had gotten very deeply stuck. My only question about her outfit is which has more inches, her heels or her skirt? Because I think they're almost equal. So what I'm trying to do is basically, the reason why this is happening, I think, is that I had a pile of trash, and it's mostly up in there now, but this pile of trash was obscuring the ability of the water, I don't know if that's the right word, to drain that way. So what we're gonna try and do is, once we got all this removed, we're actually going to, where this curb ends, we're going to dig out a little trench, and that little trench is going to come down through here and probably backfill that with gravel at some point, possibly today. And then, yeah, there's a drain down there, a drain pipe. It's, yeah, you can see it there. It's a Corrier drain pipe. And it goes under the road. And as soon as we get the water flowing down there, I'm hoping it's going to stop collecting here. If it does keep collecting over there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a drain. I'm going to put a drain with a grate right there, and it's going to be, I'm going to dig and run a corrugated pipe down all the way through here, and it's going to drain out right there. So that's today's project. A little bit of drainage. once I fill the truck up and unload it at the dump, I'll probably go to Landscape Supply and either get gravel for this project or mulch for around the house, because it's, I don't know, I get a spidey sense right about this time every year that it's time to put mulch out, and my senses are tingling. But we've just about got a full truckload full of these railroad ties and various things that I had stacked over here stupidly that were in the way of the water. And we've also got some other stuff that's going to the dump today from the inside of the house. All the ceiling fans and light fixtures that were inside. So I got a pile there. I got a pile of miscellaneous concrete scraps. Well, I got a couple piles of miscellaneous concrete scraps, but I'm hoping that we can get it all in one truckload. See, this is why you need a dedicated pickup truck and not one of these little 3.5 foot bed 2017 2022 crew cab rigs that everybody's got. You need this $2,000 8 foot bed, and you don't even have to worry about throwing crap in it. So I think I just had a stroke of genius out here. So we're standing in the unoccupied lot next to my house, and I'm going through and I'm planting the Southern Territories back here. And I started with these cheap little, these are called thujas, or what are they called? Arborvitaes, giant green arborvitaes. I went with these because of the value proposition that they offer. I actually did look into planting some magnolias, but I stopped at the fancy nursery and looked at magnolias, and I got sticker shock, and I just picked up these little cheapskate plants, threw them in there. But then I realized, came over here to the empty lot, which has several big mature magnolias in it, and I realized, look at these. We've got 2 little baby magnolia trees just sitting right here, just ripe for the picking. I bet nobody would notice if I just moved these a few inches, is all I'm gonna try and do. This would be a great project, because the magnolias at the store are like $210 a piece. Yeah, what if I transplanted these? That's what I'm thinking. Rip these bad boys out, because whoever builds a house here is just gonna rip them out anyways. I'm saving the planet, Earth. And I just like, right about there, that's where I think, yeah, a couple magnolias, nice evergreen, privacy, and they're beautiful. All right, so this is my first rough cut at the drainage improvements. I got this area all dug out once I got all of the railroad ties and stuff in there. It was more than I kind of thought it was. But yeah, that was impeding the flow path here. So basically, I don't think that the water problem is the water coming from beyond my house in that direction. And I don't think the problem is necessarily the water that my house itself takes on. I think the problem is the water running down from this side of the road down here. And I think it was basically bypassing this drain, and it was all going this way. So I think that was my issue. So my goal is, what I want is to channel all of the water as soon as it breaks past this curb. I want there to be basically like a low spot, a flow path for it to go, basically to make a beeline from that curb to, you can see where that corrugated drain pipe is. It's right down past that chunk of concrete. Kind of wish that chunk of concrete wasn't there. I don't know, maybe it's a good thing that's there. I don't know exactly. So anyways, once I got all the trash removed, I dug this down into where it was kind of a channel, and then I sort of bounded it on this end with these brick things and backfilled behind the bricks with dirt. This isn't necessarily intended to be like a watertight boundary or anything, you know, just kind of give me a little bit of a placebo effect, and also to kind of like give me a point of reference so that in the future, when I'm coming out here watching where the water's going when it rains, I can kind of see, okay, where is the water relative to where I thought it was going to be flowing, which my hope and my initial estimate is that the problem is water was coming from here. It's bypassing this whole area entirely, going this way and landing there. And so essentially you can see what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to catch it and route it that way. So we're going to see how well this functions. I don't know when the next time it's supposed to rain is, but yeah, this is a first cut and we'll see how well this functions. And based on how this operates in the future, we will come back and take another couple of stabs at it. And then if all else fails, we'll find another way to drain the water from over there. But I think that this is really the primary issue, is we got to route the water this way. And if this turns out to be a great system and this is perfect, then at my earliest convenience, I'll come back and backfill this with gravel. All right, there it is, locked and loaded. So you can see it's squatting pretty good. You know, it's funny, I'd actually been putting this off because I wasn't sure I had enough for a good, honest run to the dump. And I have to say, all that trash that was in that pile over there looked a lot smaller before I got it all loaded up. Yeah, definitely a good solid dump run right here. And then as soon as we're done with the landfill, we'll probably go straight to the landscape supply and get some mulch. Thinking, this is a great truck. It came with a pretty good sound system already in it. Got like a kicker amp, I guess, or a sub or something. I'm not a music expert, but as soon as you get in it, you turn the key, it cranks right up every time. The head unit hooks up to my Bluetooth. I don't even have to fool with it. Thinking probably Aussie today. Also, maybe hit up some Ronnie Millsap. I get in a mood for Ronnie Millsap probably about once every 27 months, I would say. Probably pretty average, but yeah, she is definitely, she's definitely sagging. So yeah, that's a good honest day's work. All right, I'm back from the landfill. As you can see, I was not exactly successful. I rolled up and I told them mostly what I had was railroad ties, and they immediately turned me away. I think I might have been aware of this in the past, but I guess I forgot. Apparently railroad ties are like the most toxic thing known to man, and nobody takes them. I've called every dump around here, the toxic waste places that are supposed to take everything, and even the ones that, yeah, are like specialized in toxic shit and take literally anything, even they don't take railroad ties. So I'm stuck here. The lady at the dump where I actually showed up to she directed me to another place, and I was like, okay, great, where is this? It's in Ball Ground, Georgia, which is just far enough away to be too far away to take a pickup truck load full of stuff, honestly, for me. So I did the most emasculating thing a guy can possibly do. And after I was frustrated and I called every place I could think of and exhausted all my options, I called one of those junk removal companies. Yeah, sad day. And fortunately they were like, oh yeah, we'll take railroad ties. We'll be at your house at 3 o'clock this afternoon and we'll give you a number. And if you like the number, we'll take your shit right then and there and you'll never have to worry about it again. And I was like, you know what? Fine, just show up, give me a quote. And if their quote's not, if their quote's like, oh my God, I would drive to Ball Ground to avoid paying that much, then I'll drive to Ball Ground to avoid paying that much. But yeah, if their quote's halfway reasonable, then yeah, failed trip to the landfill. So mulch is not going to be a happening thing today because I don't have, my truck is tied up. So what I did do is I got some very pretty colors from Sherwin-Williams. I'm painting this house. I'm not painting the brick. I'm not doing that. I don't believe in that. But everything that's not brick is getting painted. So I actually had a Sherwin-Williams color consultation with Sherwin-Williams paint expert lady. And she gave me a bunch of ideas. It was free. If you're guys, if you're not female supervised, just saying, Sherwin-Williams, free color consultation. So I'm gonna check these out. And the other thing I said I might do today was try and take transplant for nature and the environment some trees from over there. Yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, we got things that we can do today. All right, so this is our horticulture project for the day. These are 4 different magnolia leaves from 4 different trees. So these 2 come from magnolias that are currently on the front and the side of my house, like these right here. These are smaller species, of Magnolia tree, like Little Gems or Cape Harris's, is roughly what these are. Generally speaking with Magnolias, the smaller the leaf, the smaller the tree. So we got these little baby Magnolias over here. They look very innocuous, but the leaf off of the baby Magnolia is actually that one, which is very similar in size to this one, which came off of one of these two giant Magnolias, which I think are the parents of the baby Magnolias, which tells me that these baby Magnolias they're small now, but they're a very large species of Magnolia tree. They're not like these little guys. They can be planted right up next to a house. They get 15 feet wide, and that's it. These are like a full-size big tree. So if I'm gonna think about taking these, transplanting them to help them, then I need to measure, and I need to really think really hard, because they're gonna get that big. That'd be a really nice tree, like right there, don't you think? I mean, it's just asking for it. I think that spot's just, I think that, yeah, that's a good idea. This is all good. These are good ideas, right? So, but what I'm trying to say is, it's not like a small ornamental magnolia like what I've currently got up around the house. It's a big boy. So let's grab a tape measure maybe. All right, so I did not grab my tape measure in attempts to measure that tree. Instead what I did was I looked it up online. This tree actually is a big enough deal that it made it into the real estate listing for this property. And apparently, according to an arborist, this tree is 100 years old and 40 feet in diameter. So that's a radius of 20 feet. As you can see, it kind of spreads the most at the top in the middle. It's not really, at the lower parts, kind of hard to see on camera, it's not really a full 20, it doesn't really take a full 40-foot diameter of floor space, if you will, from your yard. It spreads that high at the top. So first I thought, well, that's really not practical. That's kind of a giant tree. But then I thought a couple things. So I think I could get away with putting it right about where this red brick is. I sort of measured some stuff. So basically from the street to there, that's about 20 feet, which is, it could probably even come a little bit closer to the street. And then that's about like 16, 17 feet from my property line. I could probably even get it a little bit further up in this corner up here. But yeah, so, I mean, the way I see it is, I'm just gonna run out there with a shovel and start digging around this thing. And if it seems like it wants to come with me, then I'll bring it. And I'm just gonna jam it in here. And even if I decide in so many years, like, oh my God, that's a stupid idea, yeah, then what are we out? You know, the labor? I mean, it's a free tree. All right, here we are at the DeKalb County Seminole Road landfill. I think this is where I'm supposed to be going. I paid a junk company $200 to take those stupid railroad ties. I'm sure I got fleeced. I don't care. It's, you know, it is what it is. Oh, they got free compost here. That's pretty sweet. Look how black that is. Can you believe that's free for us in DeKalb County? Check this thing out real quick. I assume one of the landfill workers drives this. Like an 84, 85-ish Buick Electra, I think. Our landfill here in DeKalb County has a pavilion at the top of it. You know, like, I guess, what is that for? How do I book it? You know, like, what if, I mean, you know, family reunion on the cheap, you know what I'm saying? Be a nice venue for something, for real budget friendly and everything. So anyways, so I'm gonna try and make it to the landscape supply place. They're 16 minutes away and they close in, I think, 23 minutes. So let's see if we can't grab some mulch.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Piedmont Road.
Yeah, see, there we go. And finish out the day strong, spread some mulch, because it just feels like it's that time of year. And probably not steal a tree. I think I decided not to do that. We made it to the landscape supply place just in the nick of time. It is officially closing time here, 4:30. So I asked for 1.5 yards of brown mulch. I've never been to this particular place with this particular truck before. I suspect this truck can probably do 2 full yards. But yeah, I just asked for 1.5 yards and we'll see where that puts us. And then maybe when I come back, I'll get 2 yards at a time. Back from the landscape supply. I think our last task for the day is gonna be spreading this mulch. Went with 1.5 yards. Honestly, I think I could have safely gone with 2 yards. But this particular landscape supply place is they kind of like, they want you to ask for what you get. A lot of landscape supply places I've been to in the past are kind of load first, pay later. This place is kind of like you order and pay up front and then they load your truck. So I had no way of knowing how much this thing would be good for. But I think I can easily do 2 yards in the future. So I'm gonna spread some mulch there. So I get a nice before and after on that. It's gonna look a lot better with mulch around those little gardenias. And then in these beds and up to there if I can. And then at some point I needed to do up around there. So that's probably for another day. I've got my colors. Got them taped up against the house. So I think me and my mom and my aunts are kind of liking this. Oh yeah, and as far as the truck is doing, how the truck is doing, it's running amazing. I've been driving it around all day. Super reliable, super smooth, starts every time. It's running amazing. I think the front suspension issue has been resolved. I mean, I've driven it at least a few hundred miles, and since I tightened all the bolts, and they have not started loosening up again. So I think that may be good, hopefully. If not, I'll just die. That's also, plan B, as they say. The one thing that is kind of concerning is the transmission. So the transmission has always had times when it gets in a bad mood. It's had times when it acts up. Today was no different. I drove this thing at various points all day today, and there was a point in the middle of the day where the transmission was really acting up. Now, first and second gear in this truck never slip. They're fine. Sometimes it will slip in and out of third and or overdrive, I think. And that is what it does. Now, at the end of the day, this last drive that I took with it, I was driving for really quite a while. Truck was fully warmed up, and the transmission was just absolutely excellent. Just perfect. Just didn't miss a beat, shifted well, shifted on time, felt really good, all of the above. So, I mean, maybe that gives me some hope that I don't need a full rebuild. I shouldn't be driving this in the condition that it's in. You should never drive a slipping transmission in the hope of maybe prolonging it a little bit and not completely killing it before you have to service it. All right, I think now we're finally gonna call it a day. Get all that beautiful brown mulch. I've always thought this is one of the biggest bang for your buck things that you can do in the homeowner or the home improvement department. Didn't get quite stretch all the way. I probably got another yard or two I gotta get. That's for another day. I actually had somebody roll down his window and offer to buy this thing while I was standing here spreading this mulch. Guy said he used to have one. He was driving a newer Dodge Ram, so I'm not sure what that says about those, but I think generally speaking, when you drive something like this around, you get offers a lot like that. I told him what he would have paid me for it. Maybe I should have just taken it and ran. But yeah, really big improvement from all that brown mulch. Just got to finish the job at some point, but probably not today. Definitely not today. Probably not even this weekend. The next thing I got to do is start thinking shale chips under here. It's like I throw all this mulch out here, but it still doesn't look that good because, yeah, it just doesn't really do much the way it is. We get some shell chips there and some more plants over there. Yeah, all in a day's work.